Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's Randomised Gaming Fight Night stream. I am your host, Random Gamer Riven.
And I'm Random Gamer Dragoon.
Okay, I'm just going to quickly check that... Okay, the mic is on and we should have... Yeah, okay, that's good. Just checking everything's set up. Mic's working and we have game audio. So today we are looking at, or we're going to be doing Fight Night on Virtual Cyber Troopers, the original arcade version. I think this is one game we've wanted to get a Fight Night on for some time. I'm just not going to say any more before... Oh, circle confirm. And that's not what I wanted to do. Yes, I've got to remember circle is confirmed, because I have a mix. When you have a mix of, you end up doing one of two things. Either pressing X and wondering what's happening, or either pressing circle. So, spirit mode bizarrely is supposed to be meant to be split screen, but someone didn't time it correctly. So Virtual type it incorrectly. Virtual Cyber Troopers is of course a classic Sega arcade game, and one that is currently available on the PS4 in the Sega Virtual On Master Collection. So we're looking at the 2007 release of the arcade game. This was an M2 arcade port, and it was done. So it was done by M2. It was originally developed by AM3.
An enemy is about to encounter.
And of course published by Sega.
Get ready.
Now, Virtual On is probably best remembered for being a twin-stick arcade game. It was quite an extensive cabinet, and it's probably one of the reasons you didn't really see it much around in European arcades, I imagine. Because I think when it came to European arcades, this was not a popular game in the slightest. In fact, I can't recall seeing this in England. Maybe in Trocadero, but not round where we were. That's Trocadero, London. Certainly, you probably had it in London, but not round. It was definitely not an arcade game you saw often, but it is an absolutely fantastic arcade game, and one that I'm finally glad we're actually going to cover. And we've covered it quite a bit on the channel already, but it's nice to really go for a Fight Night on it. And we're both in gear now. This is sometimes we are both extensively. So let's jump. Jump as well. Now I'm actually using a slightly customised control, because the default controls on this collection are horrible. Yeah, a lot of people like to gear you towards. They never expect a raid, as I found when playing online, they never expect a Raiden player to come at them full action, so to speak. I'm actually quite a fast-paced Raiden player, and a lot of players did not expect me. I actually got really good playing Raiden in online on the 360 version. It is available on the PS4, and this is where I'm going to get really angry at the minute, because it's available in the Virtual On Master Collection, which includes Virtual On Atoria Tangogram, and the third game, Virtual On Force, which is not that great, but it's still nice to have. It is available on PS4. It is not available outside of Japan on PS4. So, if you're working at Sega of America and Sega of Europe, please get your act together and get it released. It really is embarrassing that Sega can't even get their own games released now. But yeah, the Master Collection, and if it stays like that, I will have to import it and get even more angry with Sega of America and Europe for their incompetence. And that's what it is, when you don't release some of your best games to build up your brand. And Sega need to build up their brand now. They are really struggling these days when you look at some of their output. They need to get their classic games you can... Yes, that's what I like to do. Start with a win. So this is part of the Sega Ages 2500 series. It was, what was it on the box there, Dragoon?
31.
It is volume 31, and this is not just a superb arcade version. As you can see, you can actually change colour. Actually, you can change the golden tangent. These colours are actually, a lot of these additional colours are exclusive for this version, so it really is a joy to actually play some of the exclusives. This version's packed with exclusivity. There is loads of additional content in this one. Absolutely loads of content. And you can actually play the Z Grudges for the first time, and there's even an additional hidden boss, who I think will drum out later to play as. I'm just trying to remember the cheat to play as her actually. You have to select the and press select, I think. Once I've got my save file already activated for this, so I probably will slightly edit down the start of this video. Just so we get straight into the action in the live version. So basically each robot has 3 attacks. They have a left arm, a right arm and a centre arm, and you also mainly have a dash and a jump. You can also crouch by you can crouch, it's centre and I put crouch to R1 or something. So basically you can crouch, although it's only for like a single thing. But what was unique about Virtualons, although you only had 3 attack buttons, depending on whether you were dashing towards, dashing away, dashing behind or in the air, that would change which attack and what type of attack and how you would be performing the attack on the opposition. Now, it's basically a really interesting, because it's not a conventional sort of fighter. It's really is a shoot 'em up fighter. So you have close combat if you get close, but the aim is to really sort of dash in, dash away, and try not to get hit by your opponent. And certain tactics like Amgen here, I can use the bomb. I can use the bomb to create an area explosion. His bomb will also destroy enemy attacks that hit it as well.
Round 3. Get ready.
Close combat, we're mainly sort of dashing away. I think I tend to play a sort of dash thing, but it is good to try and do it. And you see, this is a really, really fast. Actually, did we leave this on the arcade refresh rate, or did we put it on? Oh, I'll just leave it on the arcade refresh rate. Maybe that's one, because this one does. There are a few bits of slowdown in this version, you notice, that aren't in the arcade one. You can have horizontal and vertical. Split screen. This version is packed with options. It really is good. Although I don't know if the I have a suspicion the new collection probably won't have all the options of this one. You press something. I'm just going to see what sheet is to play as a new CN.
Round 1. Get ready.
Oh, we're on Nevada, so it's just literally things like L1. So basically this version did add in basically what was the original TN, because if you actually follow the Virtualon plot, TN is supposedly the second. TN, Viper and Raiden are all the second models, as the first models of all of them vanished in some incident that's never really popular documented. And basically TN's one of the more interesting robots because she actually becomes more powerful as she takes more damage. About when she's received about 75% damage, she goes into overdrive mode, at which point she becomes absolutely unstoppable. And I should say, I am Riven and I'm on the left panel and Dragoon is on the right panel, so it's just so much to play when playing virtual. It's so, oh, it is super. I think Games Max has the cheat. Or I could actually, no, I can stay. Oh yeah, we're still fighting. I just realised I did include the cheats on the. One of the reasons sometimes I include the cheats on our videos intentionally, because it's basically a way of archiving it so that people will see the video, and if they read the description, you'll see that we actually have some of the cheats on it. And the reason I do that is because so much of this stuff a lot of the stuff is really poorly documented. You have sites like GameFAQs. Unfortunately, they would make an awful lot of mistakes. Yeah, you won't fool me twice with the sword die. Now, each of the robots did get sort of, most of them were in the sequel, but they did get slightly changed and altered, so they're never quite the same. I think only Tanjin really is largely kept. Some of the robots got really changed. Beldor never really quite appeared in his original form ever again, nor did Raucus. He got changed quite a bit.
Force had the ability to select a version of the original.
Yeah, so the third arcade game is version on Force. It's not perhaps the best arcade game. Here we go. Did I include it? Please tell me. Okay, press dash. Press dash and then start. Okay, so if I've done that correctly, I should be.
An enemy encounter.
Yeah, that's the new version of Fien. Yeah, I've got no sword, so apologies, Dragoon, you're about to get absolutely murdered with this version. She's basically like she's in permanent super mode. She's so OP. Admittedly, she's not really that interesting a secret character, I think. I don't know whether they just added her in or whether she was actually hidden in the code originally, so I'm not entirely sure whether she was. I mean, they basically just slightly tweaked Fien, so it's not actually that hard to developer to do something like this. It's kind of like a little mod hack. I think the coolest thing is the fact they added in Z-Grudge. We've got a video of Z-Grudge playing a Z-Grudge on the channel as well. This is actually a really good defensive stage because there's so much terrain, so I can use it to angle.
Round 2. Get ready.
I like screen size, see if we can get a slightly bigger screen size. 16 by 9, 14 by 9. You happy with that? It's a bit small on our screen. It's actually one of the limitations of this one. No, this one's fine. I think this one's better. The horizontal, the vertical one really shrinks it unless you can't. Just want to check.
Round 3. Get ready.
Well, actually, one thing, the resolution and just the screen size is a little small. It's okay for single purpose split screen, it's not ideal. You guys are actually seeing a slightly bigger one as I use the stream to stretch it a bit more. So basically, Open Broadcast software allows me to stretch things. Feel the love. Feel the love. She's basically the love machine, the Well, this is prototype B, and yeah, this one is just a beast. There are quite a few, there was like quite a few hidden attacks with all the robots as well, so you had their main attack, but quite a few of them did have more heavily armoured. Tangent Viper. Oh, you Jahangir. He is to the right. Do you know what's actually you just change colour with the up and down buttons?
An enemy reported encounter.
Interesting, there's a few changes between Jahangir in this version and the Saturn's version. Yeah, I think he's based on his first. So Jahangir, the penalty boss, is a bit weird. Every time you fight him, the first time you fight him, so basically if you take too long, so we've had actually quite a few people get this wrong with Jahangir, so I will explain just to confirm, because a lot of people have had this wrong. If you take too long, more than about 5 minutes, to get to Moonbase, you will fight Jahangir as the penalty boss. Now, both Virtualon and Virtualon Tario Tangerang have penalty bosses. In Tario Gam is Anjin, and Anjin appears if you... yeah, well, basically, if you're overly defensive and basically running matches to the timeout, or close to timeout, then he'll pop up. Ah, that's the prototype Raiden skin, yeah. Circle to confirm. Circle to confirm.
Encounter. Round 1. Get ready.
Oh, just. Now, stages like this are really good for the quick robots. Basically, some stages are very good. This is Viper stage, and as it's quite heavily sceneried, you have to be quite tactical. You can move the kind of with the slow robots like Raiden. What you want to do is basically use your dashes to move between cover, and you also want to make sure that you don't end up stationary. Now, when you attack, you automatically target the enemy robot. So, knowing when to turn. Another thing you can do is jump, and you'll automatically, and you can do jump cancel as well. So both Raiden and Anjin have bombs, and we can use them to our advantage for dispersing weapons. Raiden's bombs don't do a lot of damage, so a lot of Raiden players, I think, tend to use the bombs to hurt. I tend to use the bombs more for a bit of cheap damage. A lot of Raiden players like to maneuver towards their lasers, but if you do like me and keep moving, then you can kind of avoid their lasers quite easily. However, what most players who are expecting to fight Raiden don't expect is for Raiden to go out and charge them, which is why, of course, used to catch so many players off guard. Because you can just do the quick lasers and they've got such good range. Ooh, shouldn't actually engage. Amjim's strength, no, I should say called Alphar's strength is the Tong Fu's in close combat. He's really a close combat one, so I actually have to be very careful. He can strip your health off very quickly with close combat attacks. Did you play this? It's quite nice to see all the colours. That's interesting. It's normal secondary colour, isn't there?
Yeah, because there's DNA and RNA to side.
Right, yeah, so basically
I'm forced to play as RNA and you're
DNA, yeah. So basically there's two rival companies in the Virtualon, RNA and DNA, both actually elements of DNA. Your DNA is basically your genetic makeup, and the RNA sort of the residual
virus.
That, yeah. Now, Beldorg is basically designed as a... Basically, Balbaz Bow and Beldorg are actually quite similar. They both have homing weapons. Beldorg's central is the napalm there. Ooh. No, the napalm's that one. No, it's Dorcas with the... He's got the homing rockets. And Balbaz Bow literally jettisons his hands, so... Just thinking, it's actually been quite a while since we've faced up against one another on Virtual On, so it's quite nice to actually...
Round 2. Get ready.
Oh, you got too close there. Oh, close combat. Close combat's probably the one area this game is not particularly good at. It's kind of a bit trundicated. I think certain robots have a real advantage in the close combat front. No, it's Dorcas who has the full-on napalm attack. Beldorc's a sort of cross between Raiden and Dorcas, I think. Best to describe him. Balbaz Bow is probably... It's probably the sort... It's basically the airborne champion.
An enemy in the quadrant. Encounter. Round 1. Get ready. Round 2. Get ready.
So I'm currently playing as Dorcas, and he's the sort of he can't remember what his hat. So he's actually one of the characters with a unique special attack where he spins his hammer around. He's basically got a couple of nasty fireballs, the sort of the phalanx napalm, and then his hammer, which has a spinning really damaging spinning variant, and also is probably the bane of just about any Raiden player everywhere because it homes so well. It just literally, you can literally go to the other side of the screen and watch as it homes.
Round 3. Get ready.
So I think Dorcas was always your favourite character, Dragoon, wasn't he?
Yep.
And what's your personal take with him? How would you advise players to...
Generally, I tend to use him as a fast, because obviously you use him fast, The fireball attacks have different variants depending on the direction of the charge from. The parallax as well is good to get coverage from the air, so if you need to get out of tight descents, jumping up and using that is helpful. Certainly some of his shots, he has the homing shots based on which direction he charges with, can be more effective. Also, again, the homing hammer can be used to track down players, or, if necessary, force them in one direction if you need to lure them in a different. If they're trying to dodge you, use the hammer to lure them. Okay, the rain-coloured door.
Yeah, I mean, this version does have a huge array of coloured characters, because originally there were only the 2 colours, but this version they added in a number of additional ones. That one's actually the prototype. So you can play as the prototype versions. There was a cheat in the original Virtual On. Basically, in Virtual On, the arcade game, there's a tutorial mode where if you watch it long enough, it tells you how to play the game. And there was a white version of Raiden and a white and yellow version of Tamjin. And basically, they're the prototype versions, which could be unlocked as sort of hidden extras on the Saturn's one. And I think there are a couple of the kit skin variants here. I'm not entirely sure, but. Okay guys, just going to test chat again because I've just noticed chat has jammed in our stream again for some reason. Out chat. Yeah, no, I'm not sure what's going on with chat. That's not appearing for some reason. Let's check live chat.
Round 2. Get ready.
Okay, apologies if you sent us messages and they're not appearing. There's definitely some funkiness with chat again. I can see on the stream that there's some weirdness. The stream chat is not showing 2 of the messages I typed, so. It's YouTube having another off day, so apologies if your messages haven't appeared on stream.
Round 3. Get ready.
So I think it's fair to say, I think Virtual On is definitely it is a quality. It's a quality arcade game from an era where Sega really were at the top of their game, and I don't think you're really gonna. Unless we get some really brave developers and developers willing to spend it, we're going to struggle to see games of this quality ever again, I think. Because a lot of you get a lot of those, well, they like to say they're AAA games, but even I'd argue that a lot of I mean, the term AAA is meant to mean big expensive game. Really, it just means game commercially released. I think they like to make it sound like it means that really. I mean, what I mean is, in terms of sort of original content, because even games like, as much as I enjoyed the Dark Souls series, I mean, Dark Souls itself was a continuation of the Kingsfield series. You kind of got a lot of the same stuff going on. We were treading old ground, and Virtual On, when it appeared, was just such a fresh game, and even the sequels really try their best to keep the format fresh. And it's a shame that we aren't still seeing a lot of original ideas, because back in the sort of mid-90s, you really had a lot of games that really were very experimental. And you don't tend to see that now. And I think one of those experimental games was this.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a good combination of fast action, paced combat, and a thumping soundtrack, which Sega were always very good at doing.
It's just a shame. I mean,
Sega always known for the soundtracks. This game deserves a lot more recognition than it got. I mean, I know at the time Sega Saturn magazine said the Saturn's version did not sell all that well, sadly.
certainly in the UK. I think in Japan it was a big success, but I think the problem is in the UK where we had, this was an unknown quantity really.
I mean, certainly we never saw. We only ever saw the arcade one time we were on a school trip to France. That was one occasion where we saw it in the UK. In France. I never remember seeing it in the UK. And certainly, having played the game in the console, when we did play it in the arcade, we were very unfamiliar with the arcade control mechanism.
Yeah, it's a bit weird because I'm going to be a bit controversial. I love Virtual On. I'm not a fan of the twin stick control system. I find it a bit intuitive. It's not fun to actually use. It's actually nicer on the joypad. The fact you have to push them towards them, it to me doesn't seem that intuitive, and that might have actually been one of the problems why we didn't see it round much in some of the arcades, because the twin stick controller, the Saturn version, had a really nice input button system, and I basically set up my PS2 controller to have the Sega Saturn control scheme, so it works really nicely. Strangely, the default one M2 did's not particularly very good. Yeah, you have to. Do you remember what button I had set it to? Yeah, you basically have to do it as an attack. So you have to press guard crouch at the same time you press an attack. So that way you do that. It's a bit weird, it's not quite. So guard's basically like a. It lets you do an addition. Really, guard's a bit of a weird button. It allows you to do additional attacks primarily. The one thing I will say is this remains incredibly fast playing. I haven't actually been Jahangir yet. I feel like being the great. So many great colours. That's the thing. I really like the fact you've got. Let's be the silver, pinky one. That's a bit fun. I really like the colour schemes in this. It just adds the fact they added in so many colour schemes. Just really nice.
An enemy area block encounter. Round 1.
I don't think we've had this stage before. This is Moon Base. This is Alpha stage, unless I got absolutely demolished on it last time. No, I don't think we have had this stage.
We've now done.
Yeah, I think we've searched stages. I think this is the last one we needed. We've done Vipers. We've done.
We've had Vipers a couple of times.
Actually, have we had Tangens? Now I think about
Yeah,
it.
we've had the
Yeah, you're just going to get demolished Dragoon with this. This Jahangir is such an incredibly powerful. Interestingly, he's slightly different in this version to how he was in the Saturn's one. The Saturn's version had a few minor tweaks. So they've got 10 lasers.
Saturn didn't actually say the name of his weapons, I believe. Just
Like
the
question.
blue bar.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get to the Jahangir fight, killing him without.
Yeah, killing him on the first time round is brutal.
Yeah.
Doing a playthrough where you actually beat Jahangir is incredibly tricky because he's meant to be a penalty boss. If you get to him, you're meant to lose a credit. And each time you continue on Jahangir, he then actually basically gets weaker.
An enemy area blockade.
I'm just going to quickly pause that a second there. We're just taking a quick break. We'll be back in about 30 seconds. Ready to battle it on. I think as far as Virtual On goes, today I think this PlayStation 2 version is by far the best version. So if you have a NTSC-J PS2 or you have a modded PlayStation 2, I highly recommend this version. This really is a superb version of the game. I think it's still, with the quantity of extras, this really is still the pinnacle version. I haven't played the Masterworks collection. I have a feeling the Masterworks is just the base arcade game without some of the extras. I don't know if it's got split screen like this one had.
Round 2. Get ready. Round 3. Get ready. encounter. Round 1. Get ready.
Okay, so we are back on Secret Base as a stage. I do love Baobab's Bao and his tracking shots. He's basically the Baobab's Bao. If you fancy being an air supremacist, Baobab's Bao is your robot. He is the air supremacist robot. He really is the robot you want to use to dominate your opponents in the...
One of the easiest to beat
Grudge, yeah, you can destroy Z-Grudge with him. If you do this attack here on Z-Grudge, the final boss, you will absolutely muller them. His shots are also allow you to absorb, so I should actually do the wave. Those wave shots also have the advantage they will actually absorb incoming enemy shots. So
There's quite a lot of
tacticalness with the enemies, with the attacks. Certain characters' shots absorb other attacks and things like that, and it's all something you need to use and utilise in your strategy. Now, his big lasers are quite slow, so utilising them just for the homing tracking isn't necessarily that good. Using them for that faster tracking one, however, is much more. The one risk reward with Balbazar, although he's an airborne one, if you launch off his centre guns, you cannot use any other attack till they return. So you see there now, I'm utterly defenceless, so you do have to play him slightly more tactical than some of the others, because if you want to go tracking the enemies, you need to make sure that you're not about to leave yourself open and vulnerable, because if you mistime your attacks and you've got your guns firing away, you have nothing to retaliate if your opponent manages to get their slam or direction in the right point.
Round 3. Get ready.
I'm going to hazard a guess the chat may have crashed actually in the review stream, which is obviously the way if you actually try and stream it, there's an issue there. So something I'll have to look at. I mean, we could just put the randomised gaming background and widescreen this. I must admit, those faster attacks really, Balbaz's Bao, I think, is a really good one to use to sort of dominate an opponent, because he can be quite infuriating. If you keep dashing at the enemy robots, you will absorb a lot of their attacks, so literally they can feel very futile. And I'm probably making Dragoon doing that attack constantly. Let's get the hand bits out.
Yeah, this is very far. I mean, he does have, he's probably got a very
Low health. But you
Balbaz's
can
Bao.
really dominate with him if you know what you're doing, because he's got the air. He's basically the best jumper. He can maneuver around, and he can track you as well with his weapons. So
Green Hills, maybe named after a Sonic cameo reference.
so yeah, that's a good point. Ruined space truck. I think we actually. Was there any hidden ones? Secret base in Nevada.
So we have done the Ruin stuff.
No, we did it right at the start. You can do it again if you want.
An enemy reporting encounter. Round 1. Get ready.
Well, the Viper's probably not a good one for the Ruins, I have to admit, because Viper's definitely another one with incredibly low health. He does, again, he's a really fast one. He does have a really powerful super attack where he literally dive bombs them where he uses all his attacks up. It's like jump up, forward, all three, wasn't it? You know, you need to have all of them charged. Dragoon's going to try and do it. There he goes. You're not getting me on that one.
Yeah, the other characters do have hidden
Attacks, yeah. So certain characters have additional attacks that are basically hidden. I think it's mainly
Viper, Tamjin, and Dragon's Hammer.
Actually, I think Raiden has like a slam hammer attack in close combat, I seem to recall, or something. There was certainly something you could do with Raiden specially, but it's not something I use, I think. It has each of the characters, I think, basically though, the ones with special attacks were given them...
VM can deliberately armor break early.
Yeah, she can armor break early, yeah. I forget his sword attack goes through, doesn't do much damage, but it does cut through. I mistimed the sword! You got yours out. There's actually some great concept art of the original Viper in this. It's a shame they never actually made him, and there's actually some concept art in this one. I wonder if they had planned to do the original Viper as well, but didn't get time to add it all. You've already had the sword. What was the sword attack, by the way, Dragoon?
Jump up
It is.
I just did towards and then the centre weapon.
It's just, yeah, I thought it was something like... Yeah, there you go. Pow! Oh, ho, ho. I was going to say I thought it was towards. Drakus's spin was a bit more tricky to pull off. For Raiden. I think some of these colour schemes are actually based on some of the other robots. They've been very coy to use the same colours.
An enemy encounter. Round 1. Get ready.
Very fitting. I'm on my respected stage as Dorcas. This is actually, have you ever seen this one in the arcade? It's a really, really impressive stage. This is one of those stages that... Oh, that's right. This version takes out some of the... No, it has still got the track in the background. The Saturn's one does take out some of the detail in some of the stages.
You don't have that second layer where you see underneath.
So, there were a few changes where there's content. The Saturn's port does its best, but there are like a few bits. The bridge, I think, the backwards bridge is also missing.
Bowser's Bell stage in 2-play, it doesn't have the dip. It's just on one level.
So, yeah, there are a couple of them that are a bit weird in the Saturn's one. I think the train track or sort of subway thing is missing as well in the Saturn's one, so it's a weird mix.
And of course, speaking of Sega Saturn, all the robots have them on their back as a nice little touch to say. And the first revision of the Model 3 sequel version on Atari 10.
They also had Saturns on the Saturn, but it got removed straight after to the Dreamcast for the second revision. Virtualon 2 or Atari Tango games, but weird. There's actually 3 revisions of it, and annoyingly, we never got the third revision on Dreamcast. I think that version may have been cancelled. So it wasn't until we got the 360 port did we actually get it, but it was one of those things that really annoyed me when I found out. There is, however, and we've done a video on it many, many moons ago, there was a test demo disc they did, and if you basically used an unofficial boot thing, you could actually play as the robots, the 3 unreleased robots on the Dreamcast version in this test boot disc that was designed for you to configure colours for that third revision. Now I've got to test my Raiden against your Amjim in a minute. Amjim Dorcas. Oh dear. I'm getting really bad at names these days. I keep getting them muddled, getting tongue-tied, saying one name and doing another. I think you haven't selected it, Dragoon.
An enemy encounter.
It's a bit weird, they stop moving, so you think they're selected when they're not.
Get ready.
That's a real test of character. Your best v my best. And I do hate your guys' hammer is always so irritating. I'm gonna really go. So I'm gonna get some close combat. Go for the close combat. Oh, miss with the gun. So the one thing I suppose I should actually explain how the weapon system works. Basically, when you use a weapon, its energy level reduces and it goes back up. And certain attacks can only be instituted at certain levels. So Raiden's main lasers, to do the full attack, you literally have to be high. Oof. And as you see there, it completely uses them up, and then you want to reset. Off Dragoon twice in a row with that. Oh, can I make it 3 times? That was the power. Raiden can literally, if you do it well, you can take an opposing robot out in 3, sometimes even 2 shots, depending on how armoured they are. I think Dorcas is probably the most armoured one, so... Should be Jahangir v Jahangir. It's the only way you actually get a fair fight with Jahangir. There's so many colour variants of them. I'll be the blinging one this time.
An enemy area block encounter.
Next enemy.
Round 1. Get ready.
Yeah, even the full power Jahangir. Well, I think one of the things with Jahangir is, although he's big, although he's strong, he actually does. He doesn't have that good a health. So even when you play as him, oof. Weirdly, they slightly changed him in the later one, so they made it look like he was being piloted by a little droid. Not entirely keen on that, but I suppose. So basically, I mean, that's the thing, his defense is not that strong. Hence why, if you're actually quite good, it's quite easy to beat him when he's a penalty boss, but you've just got to avoid taking damage. You just have to be quick and not take damage when fighting Jahangir. He really is a potent opponent. I'll jump in as the speed machine once again as Viper. Start and dash for
Yeah, that's been the normal one.
An enemy area block.
a little bit of a bug there. Viper actually disappeared off the screen, I noticed.
Round 1. Get ready.
And we're on Tamjin's stage, so... Now that's the one thing I will say about Viper. He is, I think, he's probably the weakest of all the characters. Playing as him, he's not for beginner players. He is by far the weakestly armoured character, and literally a handful of attacks like there will take him out very, very quickly. But he counters that by being the fastest as well.
Get ready.
And he's incredibly good airborne thing. So he's sort of, I think he can actually, he can manoeuvre more than, it basically can change into, it looks like the type of robot that can, so his homing Vulcan, he really is a character that you need to basically, he's actually surprisingly strong. So although he's defensively weak, he makes up for it with having decent strength, although he's not the strongest robot, and good attack and by far the best manoeuvrability. Oh. Yeah, that's what happens when I sit still as Viper. That happens. He also has a fantastic homing shot as well, so you're the standard Fien. Let's see if I can get... Oh! I can't believe I missed with that. I don't know whether I should actually admit that I missed with that, or the fact that... oh yes, just in time. So although you took me out, I took you out first. Oh, yes. We should do that homing more. Come on. This homing shot's so potent. Again, he's got an array of missile attacks. So Viper's one of those characters that initially people might be put off by him because he's so defensively weak, but once you get to know him, he's really one of the most manoeuvrable robots. Oh. But he is a difficult character to master, but you you have the advantage Viper can stay airborne for long periods of time.
Select your machine.
Just something a bit purple for Beldork. I must admit, Tamjin's a weird one. I know he's sort of the iconic Virtualon.
An enemy reported encounter. Round 1. Get ready.
But I'm not actually that big a fan. I know one of my good buddies plays as him, but I've never been that big. I always found Tamjin a bit bland, although his design's fantastic. All the robots, and I forget the name of the designer who did them, but all the robots in this are fantastically designed. One of the interesting things about this is this doesn't, although all the robots are supposed to be piloted, the pilot is left completely ambiguous. You don't know what they look like, you don't know what their gender is, so it's purely up to you what the pilot is. I kind of almost wanted them to be AI because I didn't like the fact, the concept they were even piloted, but it implies they are piloted. I just think they have that, there's a nice edge, although Mars does actually have the pilots speaking in it, although you still don't see them. Virtualon Mars was basically, so there's effectively 4 games, well 5 now, but there's four. I'm not going to really class the 5th one as it's a weird crossover that's actually already been delisted because I think it was so unpopular, weirdly. And actually you have to try and track down a retail version of it. Not that it was any good, everyone I know absolutely lambasted it. There was a crossover with like the Magical Index for Virtualon that everyone said was an utterly horrible, horrible game. I do need to track down a copy, but it's one of those ones I will probably track down, play, and then wonder why I spent the money on it. I believe it has been delisted because it was, I think partly it flopped so badly. Because no one wanted to play a Virtualon game that had some horrible branding and didn't quite understand the gameplay mechanics, because Virtualon is about fast moving, fast paced combat.
Select your machine. Door code. An enemy reported encounter.
But yeah, you had Virtualon, which was the original arcade, and you had which was the Model 2 arcade, and you had Atoria Tangram, which is the fantastic follow-up, and literally just improved upon this in every way. That was released on the Dreamcast, and it had quite a lot of extras on the Dreamcast. Then it was later, there were 3 revisions of it, and the final revision is only on the 360, but the Dreamcast version still has content not available on any other version. Then we got Virtualon Force, which is a bit of a controversial Virtualon as it wasn't made by a lot of the original team. It tried to introduce team combat, so you had a targeting. It kind of missed the point of what Virtualon was about, so it didn't play particularly well. And Virtualon Mars was kind of Force improved. Basically Mars was Force given a story mode, and then loads of additional robots added in. Virtualon Mars, I actually really enjoyed playing it a little while back. I might actually go back through and finish it again, because I still need to finish Virtualon Mars. But Virtualon Mars is a really, really good game. Although the only downside is you have to finish it about 7 or 8 times to unlock on all the various difficulties, to unlock all the different robots. I've unlocked quite a few in it now, but it's quite a grind. And it's kind of retreading the Virtualon Atoria Tangram storyline Mars, but it's still good fun. And then we had the Virtualon Index game, which I haven't actually played. I've just seen it get lamented left, right and centre.
An enemy reported encounter. Round 1. Get ready.
So yeah, a good idea One thing I'll always say is never ever sit still right when you start, because a lot of players will try and put an attack straight on you. And Raiden is in the single player, his AI is notorious for trying to put the laser straight on you. So I'm going to try and bomb. Now this is the thing, you've got to make sure when you dash. So basically, your dash is very important, but you have to time your dash, because if you initiate an attack during the dash, you'll see that whenever you initiate attack, certainly during a dash, you have a yellow, your weapon. So when it goes yellow, you're in close combat range, but also you need to be aware you can only launch attacks at certain points, so you need to be at the set stage of your animation. So making sure to attack at the right point is another key of making sure. So you need to dash in and attack at the right moment. If you don't, you have a point hit. One of the vulnerabilities is at the end of the dash you have a vulnerable state, which is why you always want to try and dash between cover, because you basically have a cooldown. See there, you've got a quick cooldown before you can dash again, and that is where you're really vulnerable. That's where a really good player, you wait for that cooldown where they're going to land. So they basically have a few frames of animation where they're utterly vulnerable due to the boost cooling down or the jumping, and that's when you take your prime attack, like there. So you would have been struggling a bit to go the jump, so I was able to put a hit on you.
An enemy encounter. Round 1. Get ready.
I mean, have your opinions of Virtualon changed over the years? Do you think it's a game that has aged badly, or?
I think it was pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's one of those.
The sequel is slightly
It's definitely it's a timeless game. It really does play well. I think some people, Virtualon's not your conventional one-on-one fighter. It is a full 3D mech battling arena game, and it really was. I mean, it was cutting-edge stuff when it came out. I think there were a couple of games before it that did something similar, but Virtualon, I think, was the first that really had the gameplay absolutely nailed. It showed you Sega's experience. Yeah, Tamjim's sword's incredibly powerful, and Bao's armor when in close combat, he's really not that strong. I'll be normal. Yeah.
An enemy encounter. Round 1. Get ready.
Yeah, we'll probably wrap it up in a minute. We'll do 1 or 2 more bouts before we wrap it up. I think we'll wrap up at the 50-minute mark, or the 10:50 mark. I think for me this remains a superb Sega arcade, and it really shows Sega when they were at the height of their arcades. It's a shame the Saturn was not more successful. I think games like this were done a lot better in the sort of home. Would have had a much more interesting, more legacy had Sega been more successful with the Saturn. I think the Saturn really is an interesting console because it should have really done well in the console war, but its biggest fault was probably the fact basically they messed up the. I mean, you had 2 issues. You had the hardware being a bit too difficult to code for initially, and you also had you had Sega not perhaps being as supportive of other developers as they should have been, and then of course you had the big thing in the US where they screwed up the launch, and that destroyed the Saturn from the get-go. So in the US, and that was a problem, because if you didn't get the American support, then you were always going to struggle a bit in the sort of Europe, because there were a lot of very popular big American games and franchises. must have been an interesting week on Randomised Gaming. I've been doing a lot of PlayStation at the minute. I haven't actually videoed that much. I will be doing some videoing in the near future. I've been actually testing PS1 games and forcing them into 60 Hz. I've actually managed to find a way to do it. Initially I didn't think the method worked very well at all, but after some jiggery-pokery and reading up on it, you can do some interesting things to actually get PS1 games into 60 Hz. You can't force them all, it seems, and the software is a bit knackered and a bit old, and we could probably do with a newer version of it, but it does work, and it does mean 60 Hz on some classic PS1 games without the need to get an NTSC copy, although surprisingly quite a lot so far has been optimised as well, so, but I will be discussing that more in the near future. VN's another, quite a few characters have a close to combat sword, weirdly, so it was kind of been nice if they'd given them some better or slightly different weapons. I think we'll wrap up. Next fight should be the last one. I think Dragoon should wrap up after the next fight.
Yeah, we
Do one more after this one before I wrap it up. Maybe I'll quickly show off some of the artwork in the single player, because I don't think I've shown some of the artwork. And have a quick chat just at the end of this video. Yeah, apologies, this chat is not updating properly in the video, so it should be updating fine on the live stream, so hopefully it's not one like before where I turn it off and then see I've got an array of messages suddenly appear. Okay, let's do with the old trustees. Let's see whose stage we get. I think getting Raiden or Dorcas' stage would be quite nice as a finale. Oh yes,
Yeah,
Dorcas. Okay, so let's do this. One of the key factors is the quick jump, so if you lose track of a target, quick thing is to do a quick jump where you jump up and go down, and then you can do a you'll instantly retarget them. You'll retarget whenever you shoot at them, but if you want to make sure that you're going to target them as soon as you start shooting, do that. Raiden is actually very, yeah, I'm sure Raiden had a slight, he does have a special close call. Raiden is actually quite dorky.
Invulnerability thrown.
Yeah, you do have invulnerability throws during the damage, so it's really quite.
Get ready.
Oh, you got me with your axe hammer. Yeah, that's the thing, that does a lot of damage to. I hate the hammer because it's just so. Let's see if I can just. Okay, we'll take this into the deciding bout then. Let's see who wins.
Round 3. Get ready.
Oh, one of the things with the airborne is if your opponent jumps at the right time, you can literally just avoid. A lot of the attacks are very angled, which I think was a key design thing. That you need to make sure you know when to use the attacks to actually hit your opponent. So just rambly shooting them off is not going to necessarily cause much damage. Oh, I say that, but Raiden. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yes, got you. Bomb on you as well, just to add a little more trouble to you. And there you go. There you go, Dragoon. Good game, good game. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, unless you fancy another. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I will actually... So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. What are you trying to... Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm actually just going to quickly jump in. I'll actually show you some of the archives here while we're here, so I haven't shown them before. So we've got the sound test, which I'm not going to show you, but there's a great, absolute great selection of artwork on this collection. So I think we'll finish the battling, but as you see here, some great, just some of the great Virtual-On artwork included in this superb collection. So you've got Fien, Beldork, Viper 2. Right, it's always really nice when we have this quality. And this is the sort of classic M2 stuff. The fact they did such a nice collection. And guys, if you enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button. It always helps with our videos if you smash the like button. If you're a new person, you haven't seen our content before and you like our content, then by all means please do hit that subscribe button. What you see is you've got all the character artwork. It's really nice to include all this stuff. It's just really nice. And again, this is a progressive scan title, so we've been playing this at 480p. Really nice array of options as well. It really is a good package. Can't actually recommend it enough. You've got the reference schemes and I'll look at Gallery 2 as well, which I know it's got some of the concept art in. Yeah, some of this is the pre-production art as well. Some of the stuff you remember, sort of the magazines at the time in the 90s, they would have had this stuff in them. There's the Jahangir production art. And Z-Grudge the boss. Actually, I might just quickly do a quick bout of Z-Grudge as well. Oh, yes, here's the promo. I think this is the one. I think it is. This one has some. Annoyingly, you have to go through every one, but they're one of them. This one has some artwork of Viper looking slightly different, and I think that's supposed to be the original Viper 1. So whether they plan to have Viper 1 in this as well, and didn't get round to adding him, or maybe he's in the game and no one's actually mentioned it. I don't think he is. All the cheat codes have never listed him. There was some slightly... So that's Viper... I'm just going to scan through. I mean, there's so much artwork. It really is a fantastic package. And I'll probably do a proper 4K video stuff where I show a lot more of this stuff off. So there's the... just see if it's got the pre-production art for some of the characters. So there's the prototype Tamjim, the prototype Raiden, Jahangir artwork. And we've got Z-Grudge the boss. I might actually quickly nip in Z-Grudge in gun form. Now here we go. This is the one. You'll notice the blade arm. This is actually... be careful I don't press the button, else it... This actually has its name as Viper 1, doesn't it? Or unused. And that'd be... again, this one's like a prototype version of Viper, so... it'd be nice to see that, I have to admit. And then we got the full-on promotional art of all the... But you see there, that's Viper from the promotional one. And here we have a version of him that this is not used in game, so it'd be nice if this one actually turned up in a Virtual-On at some point. So I'm going to exit the gallery. I'm actually going to... So there is a huge variety of secrets in this. I might be a bit... I'll just quickly show you. I've done Z-Grudge mode before, but I'll just show you one bout of Z-Grudge.
Get ready.
Quite hilarious to play. There's not much to say to play as him. You basically just shoot like cray, tap the buttons. I can't remember which is his main weapon as well. Is it charge them? You basically just literally do this and demolish them. It's quite fun to play as. There's not much content to it, but it's quite fun to play as. Literally just tap buttons and blow the robots up as Z-Grudge. I like to call this Z-Grudge's revenge mode. Ironically, there was always a rumour in the Saturn's version you could play as him, because there's actually a voice call in the Sega Saturn's version that calls his name out, which is never used. It's obviously a unused soundbite, but it was obviously intended to actually be him being called. But I assume he was never finished. I assume if they had planned to add him into the Saturn's version, he was never finished. So I'll exit out of that mode because I've shown it before. We've got a playthrough of this mode in its entirety on the channel, and I think if you want to see it on the channel... I do love that, patented by Sega. It's just the quality of Sega back then. Just the... I do miss Sega doing this type of stuff, and I would wish there was more of it. And again, as we mentioned, this is available on PS4. This is out on PS4 now. It's just not available in anywhere other than Japan. So if you're watching this Sega, this is the Chilby mode. I'll quickly pick Raiden, which is quite funny. And then everyone looks at... Well, I think they all get giant heads and everything once we get in game. Literally, Sega had quite a sort of... Yeah, here we go, giant heads. Sega had quite a passion for Chilbies in quite a lot of their games. I seem to recall Fighting Vipers had it. I don't think Virtual Fighters had it, but I think Last Bronx might have it in one of the versions. Might be not right on that. But yeah, basically you have Chilby. You had a... I mean, you of course had Virtua Fighter Kids. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Fighting Vipers had a version, Virtua Fighters Kids, so it's quite hilarious. Admittedly, it's more a novelty mode. I assume they didn't take long to do this. Certainly, it's quite fun to do, but it's basically a 10-minute mode. You play for 10 minutes and then go, oh, that's cool, done that, never going to play it again. But yeah, if you fancy a comedy mode, the Chilby version of all the robots is definitely worth a look. Again, this is another mode exclusive to this PS2 collection. It wasn't in the Saturn's one.
Get ready.
Oh, let's see if I can beat Viper, and then I will just... And there he goes. Yeah, again, you can save replay functionality. It really is a superb collection. I know I've actually we've done quite a lot on the channel of Virtual On, but I just wanted to actually have a quick chat about this, seeing as I've not really spoken about this collection that much. I will do a video at some point of all the artwork. I will document it, or I should do. You got the VR collection there. We've done the Chilby. The Assault mode, I think this is the close combat only mode, which is a bit of a fun one. So some of the mechs actually have quite an advantage. Raiden's a really powerful close combat mech, but of course he doesn't have close combat. I think this is the one I think it is. This is the mode where literally you only have close combat mode. So like the Chilby mode, this is quite a fun one to do once or twice. Although not sure how you beat Z-Grudge. Yeah, literally you only have close combat. You don't have weapon. Oh, you do have your Raiden has his lasers. Oh, that's a bit. Everything else is like close combat. That's actually a bit unfair if Raiden has his lasers. That's really unfair. But basically it's just like close combat fight! Tamjin should be absolutely destroying me because he's much better close to combat. But there's a nice little charge. So that's just some of the extras you get in this collection. It really is a good version. I know we're big Saturn fans, but if I'm being honest, there's little reason because of this collection to actually purchase the Sega Saturn version now, unless you're basically a die-hard Saturn fan or you don't have a PlayStation 2. This one is actually available on the PS3 as well, but like the Virtual-On Master Collection on PS4, again, it's only available in Japan. In fact, a lot of Virtual-On is... I mean, this was also released... I should add, there was a Model 2 version of this also released on the PS3. So you can get I believe you can get the collection and you can get the Model 2 arcade version. Again, the Model 2 arcade version was only released in Japan, although this is better than the Model 2 arcade version. The Model 2 arcade version on PS3 is literally just a raw arcade port without much else added. It was pretty much done in the Sonic Fighters. There were 5 of them done in it, and 2 of them, Virtual Strikers and Virtual-On, didn't get released outside Japan. So really, Sega need to make sure they're coherent with their releases. And the thing is, once you've released it on one platform, it doesn't really cost a lot to release it on others. In fact, really, if you're smart, you would actually, if you don't want to have your other teams deal with it, then your Japanese team should be handling the release of it in the North America and Europe. And having worked in the industry now, I know a lot of them you do work with teams across all over the world, so they should be used to releasing games in all the different regions by now. There's a continue screen. So that's quite a nice, fun little mode. It's got some really nice extras. I mentioned you've got the secret Fien you have to unlock, and in order to unlock her, you have to... she really is... you have to really do well. I'm not going to do an arcade playthrough. Unless I suddenly get loads of comments for me to do that. Although, apologies guys, I'm not sure if the comment section is working correctly tonight. It's certainly not right in the video. We've noticed it's only showing the... So yeah, you get link cable mode and you get the ranking. The ranking mode is from the Saturn's one. So I'll click on again, the ranking mode is... Don't think... Can I be Jahangir in the ranking mode? Yes, I can be.
Yeah, directly. First mission. Flood City. Get ready.
So I'm not sure if I'm about to switch on the rank, switch off the stream and then find suddenly get loads of comments. I'm not sure why it's locked. I will ask that in the... The live chat is basically locked. Possibly it's an issue with OBS, or possibly something with YouTube. Basically, we typed in a couple of messages and 2 of them aren't showing in the chat, so I'm aware we had an issue the other night. That might be annoying if that happens more often. We might have to just not have the chat in the stream then. But I know a lot of people probably quite like to be featured in the stream, so... So yeah, this is literally ranking mode, literally play through the whole game. Let's see how quickly it's streaming for. I'm gonna stream for a few more minutes. Let's see how far I can go with Jahangir. I'm not even playing. I'm chatting away and not actually doing that much in the way of. I'm not really concentrating, so probably find out. 2 things. If I play a game and don't concentrate, either 2 things happen: I die spectacularly, or I play like an absolute legend. It's a weird thing. You kind of do like, oh yeah, I've just like killed half these bosses that normally beat me easily and whatnot. The most infamous time I actually have for that is one time I remember doing Perfect Dark. The final stage, is it this hidden stage? I remember really just driving me crazy. It was taking so long to do, and I can't remember what it's called now. Basically, the final one where you basically take on the aliens, the sort of the crash site, and it's actually the final hidden stage. It's brutally hard. It was like the last stage I needed to perfect. I'd done every other stage, done all the other secret stages, and then one day I just went crazy, just went mad, and all of a sudden I found myself at the end of stage having destroyed literally every single boss without taking any damage, and I was just like, how did I do that? And 2 other people with me at the time. They were just like, that was just incredible. It's like, okay, that's one of those weird things. Not able to replicate it, but it's one of those weird feats that just happened in gaming. Although, as anything, if you play a video game enough, you will get good at it. So Jahangir is probably not the best jumper, but he does absolutely destroy. As mentioned, he's the penalty boss, and a lot of people do get it wrong. A lot of people seem to think you fight Jahangir automatically in the storyline. You don't. You only fight him if you take, is it 4 to 5 minutes to get to Moonbase. So this mission coming up, this one here, if I had taken too long, I would now be fighting Jahangir. But of course, I've only taken a minute. I'm not going to be fighting Jahangir. I'm probably going to like literally blitz this mode and then be like, oh yeah, I really should have video. Well, I'll be videoing it, but it will just be in the standard stream. It won't be a 4K stream. Basically, the reason we're not streaming anything higher than 720p is basically after that the connection gets a bit naff. So I wanted a solid one where we still have flack if the connection drops or anything. We could do 1080p, but that can be a bit risky, so I didn't want to risk it. Now, if there's a robot that annoys the hell out of me, it's VN, because she's so manoeuvrable with a lot of this stuff. There you go. Right, she's now going to try and charge me with her super attack. Gotcha. Should have just done that from the get-go. Just fire the rockets, because the rockets are much like Raiden. If you just stand still and fire his standard rockets, they are really, really nasty. So yeah, I'm going to get absolutely negatively scored on this one because I did not do particularly well. So I've just got Raiden and then Zegraj for ranking. So I'm actually going to dodge out of Raiden's way because he will literally do that. Try and shoot me with the big lasers, as I mentioned. The thing. There he goes. Okay, one more and then I am done. Perfect as well on Raiden.
Get ready.
Okay, and here we go with Zegraj. Right, but now I need to keep moving, else he's going to beat me very, very quick. Jump, jump, Zegraj, jump. Ah, Jahangir. Yeah, Jahangir's one weakness is Zegraj, because that wasn't a bad run. What am I going to get? Captain was a good rank. Get nothing for that. Oh, I did get some points at the last stage. Captain, yeah, that's not a bad rank. That's not the best rank, but that's a good rank. There you go, not bad for a quick run. That was a fun run, so to speak. And that is rather quick, I noticed. Okay, that is me going to finish it there, ladies and gentlemen. I have been your host, Random Gamer Riven, so thanks for watching, everyone. I will now finish this stream, so thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, smash that like button. We've got a couple of likes, always nice to see. This has been the Virtual On Fight Night stream. I have been your host, Random Gamer Riven, and I will say I wish you a good night, a good evening, a good afternoon, or a good morning, wherever you are in the world. And I will be finishing up now, and I will see you next week for another fresh series of streams. So thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll be back streaming next week. Hope you have a great weekend, and see you all soon. See ya.